Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a premium MACD indicator on TradingView. That way you guys can make some more consistent profits. Now, for today's tutorial, I'm going to be using Bitcoin and the 15-minute chart, but you guys can use this for Ethereum, Apple, Nvidia, whatever you guys can use it for at any time frame you guys can wish, okay? Here's the prompt I'm going to be using today. Can you make me a trading strategy for trading Bitcoin on a 15-minute chart for paper trading? Paper trading unlocks the ability for it to give you sound financial advice without it having to say, I'm not a financial advisor. I want to hold for a few hours and trade with a 10x leverage. I will be using TradingView. I want you to give me 4 indicators and make a strategy using them that I can use to paper trade with. One of the 4 indicators must be the MACD. Make the strategy as profitable as you can, and after you make it, explain in detail how to use it. Afterwards, you guys are going to hit OK, and I'll put this down in the description below if you guys just want to copy it. It makes it a lot faster, right? All right. And it'll say, please remember that I'm an AI language model and not a financial advisor. The following strategy is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. That's fine. All you want it to do is actually give you the full strategy. It's going to give you a whole bunch of warnings. The warning is really coming this time because I told it I want to use leverage, and leverage I think is pretty important if you guys are going to be trading cryptocurrencies on the on the few-minute charts, the 15 to 30 hour charts. And so right now it's going to give us the MACD, the RSI, the EMA, and the ADX, which is new for us on this as far as ChatGPT, the average directional index. Now it's going to give us all the information we need to go here, and I will see you guys right after it's all done printing out because this can take a few minutes. All right, so the strategy is done. Here's what it came up with. Now it's going to give us the MACD, the RSI, EMA, ADX, and it's going to tell us to use the default settings for the MACD, the default settings for the RSI, EMA, and ADX. And then it'll say entry rules and exit rules so you guys know when to get in and out of a position, and it'll give you everything you need to know. Now, what I like to do afterwards is I like to say something like this. Can you give me other well-known settings for the MACD, RSI, EMA, and ADX that could also work but are not the default settings? So if you guys have, if you guys don't want to use the default settings, maybe you guys want to expand your horizons as far as an investor and start to use different types of numbers, you can ask it this, and it'll give you other numbers like 817.9 for the MACD, 535.5, RSI 921, etc. Okay, and the EMAs, it gives you a bunch right there, ADX as well. Now, afterwards, you guys are going to go over here to TradingView, and you guys are going to set up your charts based off of one of those strategies, okay? The way I have it set up, because it kind of gave me a few options here, like, I got like 3 EMAs to use, plus the original EMAs, so I made 4 charts just to kind of test out the EMAs, the MACDs, and the RSIs to get a feeling of what works best. Here's what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to open up a Bitcoin chart on the daily here. Let's go over here to daily. Let's shrink that down, shrink that down, shrink that down for now. And all I want you guys to do is put the bare minimum effort of doing some very simple technical analysis. And this one, I'm just doing some resistance zones and some support zones. That's it. If you guys want to add some other stuff into it, you guys could always add something like a Fibonacci retracement level. So if I go over here, right, we got the low, we got the high, we got the retracement. But as you go in here, you kind of notice that this retracement level is still within this zone that we've been looking at. So do I really need it there? No, right now it's just extra clutter to me, okay? So I'm gonna get rid of it. But some of you guys may want to have Fibonacci levels maybe built in from here to here. That's also fine. But again, if you guys are doing this, you want to make sure that it's actually responding to those levels. And since it's not responding to those levels, more likely the larger levels we're going to use, again, don't bother using it. Now, your chart should look something like this if you guys are making this around the same time I am. And then I want you guys to go over here to the 15-minute chart, and you're going to add all the indicators that ChatGPT told you to add on here. And in this circumstance, it's going to be the MACD, the RSI, the EMA, and the ADX. And it's going to tell you to do 2 EMAs. It looks like the 50 and the 200. And your chart's going to look like this, okay? Go back over here to auto. Let's open this one up, and open up this one right here, okay? Then you're going to stretch it out because sometimes TradingView can be a little bit of a butt about this. And so you can see right here, MACD, on the bottom ADX, and in the middle we have a beautiful RSI. So here's the strategy that ChatGPT came up with. Your buy signal is when the MACD line crosses above the signal line. The RSI is below 30, oversold, and starts to rise. The price is above the EMA 50, and the EMA 50 is above the EMA 200. Normally you're just looking for that crossover, but this wants something more defined. The ADX is above 25, indicating a strong trend. The sell signal is going to be the opposite of all this. And the exit rules are going to be close the position when the opposite signal is generated. Alternatively, use a trailing stop loss to lock in profits or limit losses. That's a very good thing, especially when trading with leverage, okay? Leverage, excuse me. It'll give you some risk management there. And to use this strategy, first observe the chart and wait for all four conditions to be met. All four for a buy signal. That's kind of extreme if you ask me as a full-time trader. Most of the time I'm looking for just 3, but I'm thinking this one, because it's leverage, it wants you guys to only have blockbuster winners, which means that you might not make as many trades, but the trades you do make are going to be making more money, if that makes sense. It really depends on how aggressive you guys want to be as investors, okay? You're going to put some common sense to all this and how it's working out. And the fact that it did give us the MACD, the RSI, EM, and ADX, you can kind of see that because it's waiting for that crossover, it's really trying to get you to gain momentum, a momentum trade, and not necessarily trying to get you guys to buy the bottom. All right, I want that to be clear. So this is the first one. As you guys probably saw a few minutes ago, I did a few different variations of this, and here's how we're going to use it first of all. Now, I know we have everything set up like this, so we have the default settings over here, we have another mix of settings, another mix of settings, another mix of settings. But what I like to do is I like to look at each individual indicator and see which one is performing the best. So at the end of the day, you guys might be looking at these EMAs, and you guys might decide that this EMA works best with this MACD over here, which works best with this RSI over here. All right. So that's what you're going to do. You're making a puzzle, and then you're going to put it together, but the puzzle can change, which is it's a good way to pass the time, and it's a good way to make some extra money because you guys will have found a strategy that works particularly well with whatever you're trying to trade, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Apple, Tesla. There are strategies that work with all of these if you guys take the time and do a little bit of work on your own time to really build this out, or just watch my tutorial videos and I'll give you all the information for free. Okay, but let's go over here and let's just kind of see what's been going on. Because again, because we put this technical analysis here, you guys know it's common sense to not try to buy and hope for a really big boom going into resistance, or shorting on a really big boom hoping for us to break support. All right, we're normally catching on to momentum and making that trade happen. So as far as this is concerned here, let's just check out the EMAs first. The EMAs, if you buy at the crossover, or if you look at what happened after the crossover, not much actually happened here. This crossover on a shorting opportunity, that looks a lot better, especially coming off of a major level of resistance. See what I'm talking about? The buying when it's not into a resistance zone, that worked out pretty well. But let me see. It gradually went up. I wouldn't even say this is actually an amazing play because most of the move happened well before that. Although you can see the MACD predicted that one very well. Death cross right here. That's a little bit better. Remember, I'm already moving over to death crosses and not just having the EMA below or above, okay? So you can see right here, that one wasn't bad. This crossover right here, that was a pretty good move. Again, going off of the support levels into the resistance is how you guys want to be trading this, or vice versa if you guys are looking to short. Middle zone here had that death cross. Not as good as you would want to see. You can see how it kind of followed the big drop. If I were to put a horizontal line, how accurate is this going to be here? Crossover right there. Yeah, it was already at the bottom by the time that happened, so you're not really making anything good. So I would say this is meh. Honestly, if you can trade it at the extreme highs and extreme lows, perhaps it has a little bit more semblance. But I would say to me, this initial one, which is the 50 and 200, this is a little bit too slow. It's not reacting fast enough. So I'm not going to be using this in my finished strategy, okay? So what I normally do is I will normally just delete the EMAs off of this one because to me, they're not working on the Bitcoin 15-minute chart. Next, we're going to be looking at the MACDs, okay? Now, as far as the MACD goes, let's start all the way from the beginning and we understand the current trend. If we're in a sideways trend, this is going to work well for you, so you can pull this out of your hat later on. If it's a very volatile trend, maybe you guys have a different setup. You guys are going to become masters at this. All right, so as far as MACDs are concerned right here, let's actually shrink this down and shrink down this right here. And we're looking for the crossover. Again, do you want to buy the crossover, which did happen right here, into level of resistance? Most likely not. And the fact that we did actually cross back down below, so we had a MACD crossover, then another crossover within a few minutes, usually to me, that's not a good sign right there. Coming out of resistance, that crossover, that's something that looks pretty nice. Again, if you're following the basic levels of support and resistance, you guys will do a lot better here. So we go over here, support. Let's draw a little bit of a line right here. So that crossover happened right there. Right there. If you're looking at it for a few hours, like I told ChatGPT, this actually does work out in your favor. That's actually not a bad one right there. Again, the crossover at a level of resistance, that seems to be where this one really comes in and shines. And I'm looking at this over and over again. So I'm wondering if I can find a support zone over here to see, hey, how did it work out before? This one worked out very well over here. You had some mixed crossovers there, so that one wasn't too good. So what I'm looking at is the pattern occurring here is the crossover after you hit that level of resistance. That seems to be the big boy moment where you're going to be doing some shorts, and that short usually works off if you guys are trading for about a half an hour to 3 hours or so. Again, the crossover over here, this one wasn't too bad, but again, it doesn't have a consistent history on this 50-minute chart of doing really good things. So I would say for me right now, this is actually something I might have in my chart when we get back up to those resistance levels. And you can see every time we do, we get that crossover, and I know you guys might not be able to see it too well, that crossover, it does lead to some nice profits. Crossover right here does lead to some nice profits. It looks like this is very good for a short trader, okay? Somebody that likes to short levels of resistance in a sideways market. So you guys can put that away if you guys want to, or put it into your little notebook on Google Drive. It'll help you guys out. Now, for now, I'm just going to collapse that because it actually did have some use to me, unlike the EMAs, which really didn't have much use to me at all. And this current, remember, we're just looking at backtesting it through this sideways market. If we're trading at something in here that's more volatile, maybe it's actually more helpful. But again, Bitcoin often goes more sideways here and not always doing these crazy volatile moves. Bitcoin's a lot of sideways movement that kind of goes up and down, and that's usually what you guys are going to be trading. That hence why we have leverage to mitigate the fact that we are going in a sideways market. Now, the next part right here is going to be the RSI. Remember what ChatGPT said about this? The RSI is below 30, oversold, and starts to rise. But if we go down here to our second part, as far as RSI, we can change these numbers up a little bit more and make them more precise. You guys can go over here if you guys wanted to. Go to the settings tab. Oops, didn't mean to do that, but that's fine. Go over to the settings tab, go to style, and you guys can change the overall bands to what is oversold to you and what is overbought to you. I might have overbought be 80 instead of 70, and you're going to see what happens here. 80, okay. And you can see how that band went a little bit higher. Now, all of a sudden, we're not hitting our overbought territories as much as we did before. Now, I usually think 70 is fine, but if you guys want to change this up a little bit, I don't tend to see people actually change it higher too much. I see people try to do it lower to like 65, 60 a lot. Either one works. Just make sure to back test it before you guys start changing all these numbers, okay? Now, as far as RSIs are concerned, when we look at some of these old historical buys, and you can kind of imagine what we were talking about before as far as the EMAs and the MACDs, RSI oversold over here, that one worked out pretty well. Oversold over here, that one ended up working out. Oversold over here, that one did not end up working out. Again, we were technically a little too close to resistance, and so sometimes you can mitigate that by just saying, okay, it's working when we're not close to resistance, but it's working when we're closer to support. All right, common sense stuff. Over here, again, far away from resistance, middle zone, looking good. Looking good over here for two really nice reversals. So your standard RSI right now, this one's really, really oversold here. You see how it's starting to come back up. That's what you're hoping for. This one actually worked very, very well as far as RSIs, and even coming back over here again at a support level, had the dip to oversold. This RSIs, from what I can see so far, has been working out very well. Oversold here. Did have an oversold right here, but that ended up working out for about an hour and a half. That's not terrible, guys. That's not terrible. Over here, oversold. Worked out beautifully. So the default RSI is actually a very good one for the sideways market according to this Bitcoin 15-minute chart. Now, going over here, we're going to be looking at ADX. And for the ADX right here, this one is, it's more complicated. People don't use it as much, to be frank, but here it is. If the ADX is above 25, indicating a strong trend, that's what you guys are going to be looking for. There's not like a negative ADX or something like that. It's just showing the strength of the current trend. So it can be above 25 on the way down, above 25 on the way up, and you're still going to be looking for a sign that's above 25, okay? Now, let me get rid of the RSI here. Let's open this up a little bit more. You can see that this just looks like a random line. A lot of times, because I hate having so many indicators on the bottom, I may just drag this up onto my chart. I know it can look pretty ugly. Trust me, I know, but a lot of times you can just hide it when you guys don't want to see it, so it makes it easier. But for this circumstance, you guys can see that we're looking at this above the level 25, and this just makes it very easy for me to explain to you guys what's going on, okay? So the 25 number for us is right around there, 25 and a penny. And whenever this line is above, right, that indicates an opportunity for you to buy or short in the direction, okay? So if we're looking at maybe an coming out of the resistance levels over here, we see that it's above a 25. This could be an opportunity to expect more of a downturn in the market because the momentum is still carrying on here, and then it did go on, okay? Now, same thing over here. Every time we're above this 25 line, oops, no, 25. I got to make sure not to move the chart here. Oh, this is going to be so hard. Yeah, normally I don't have to move the charts at all, but I'm doing a tutorial, so this is totally different. Okay. Over here, barely above, right? Above the trend. You can probably see that RSI, that one worked out pretty well for as far as here. Again, the RSI over here plus the trend, that's okay. So you're looking, remember, you're looking for 3 different objectives here. Now for this one, I'm just gonna put it back into its own little spot here because it does get a little bit confusing after a while. There we go. So then what you do is you kind of figure out which one works best for you, and then you kind of do the entire process for all of these different indicators. So maximize pain, if it'll allow me to. There you go. There you go. All right. So what you do is you go through each one of them. If you guys want to do the extra, if you guys are just want to look to use the default settings, by all means, that's all you have to do for this video. You guys can watch the next video, right? But if you guys want to use a different set of EMAs to see which ones are more profitable, because you guys know the first EMAs didn't work out in our favor, you guys can see, okay, well, this one's above. We can catch on to that trend a little bit better. But again, we're going into resistance. We're coming below it right here. We're above, we're in the 30 range here. The MACD has, oops, I didn't mean to do that. You can see how I don't like to use all these tools on one chart. And you can see the MACD, the MACD crossover didn't work out too well here, but I bet the MACD crossover on this one worked out a little bit better, okay? That's where you're gonna be picking them all apart and making putting a puzzle together pretty much, okay? And you're gonna do that for each and every one of these until you find the solution that works for you. You guys can use this on any chart. This could be Forex, it could be stock market. Loki says hello, everybody. It can be whatever you guys are hoping for as far as what you guys are trying to trade. And then from there, that's how you guys are going to build your own custom strategy. And remember, you guys don't have to use the MACD, the ADX, the RSI. You guys can use whatever you want. And that's what makes this so beautiful. So remember, I will put down the prompt down below, both of them, for, can you make a trading strategy here? And then I'll do the other one as far as can you give me other well-known settings for MACD, RSI, EMA, and ADX, stuff like that. But remember, you guys are going to be filling in the blanks because you guys are going to be doing different indicators out there. So I hope you guys enjoyed this content. And if you guys did, please make sure to leave a subscribe and watch some of my other content. Thanks, everybody.